Good morning, people. Welcome back. Current electricity का JEE लीट लेक्चर नंबर 2. हमने लास्ट टाइम JEE लीट लेक्चर नंबर 1 में we discussed about drift velocity, formation of current, current density. We saw the changing of resistivity with temperature, changing of resistance with temperature. We saw the color code for carbon resistors, and I think finally we saw resistor series and parallel connection and cell series and parallel connection. Today is the day for Kirchhoff. Alright, so Kirchhoff's law are in vogue now. Kirchhoff gave us a set of two laws, very important laws, and these laws have been used for many years to analyze currents in the circuits, to analyze how much potential difference is there. So all this boils down to two laws. For the two laws to be in effect, the first thing we need to know is the definition of junction and loop and also network. We have already seen in the board that junction is a point where more than two conductors meet. So there have to be minimum 3 conductors that have to be there. For example, this would be a junction. This is point A. So at this point current would divide or they would add. So whatever the case may be, but this is a junction, yes. But this is not a junction because current is not dividing. Whatever current is coming from this conductor is going down into this conductor. At this point, no addition or subtraction of current takes place. So B is not a junction. The second definition is a loop. A loop is actually a closed path in a circuit. And this closed path would contain resistances, batteries, capacitors, you name it. So you have to start from one point, you have to go around and come back to the same point. At that point the loop is complete. Now in order to use the two laws, we have to first know them. The first law, or they call it Kirchhoff's current law, I call it KCL. You can also call it junction law. It states that the total current entering the junction is equal to the total current leaving the junction. So if I had, like 5 conductors, this is I1, this would be I2, I3. I'll show you the, directions of these currents. I2 is going, I3 is coming, I4 is coming, and I5 is going. So at this junction A, you have 5 conductors bringing 5 currents, I1, I2, I3, I4, and I5. I1 and I3 and I4 are entering the junction, whereas I2 and I5 are leaving the junction. So according to Kirchhoff's current law, total current entering the junction has to be equal to the total current leaving the junction. So how much is total current entering the junction? I1 plus I3 plus I4. So I1 plus I3 plus I4, and that is equal to total current leaving, which is I2 plus I5. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is Kirchhoff's current law. So if you bring all these here, you say that the summation of currents at any junction has to be 0. Of course, entering currents have been taken as positive, whereas currents leaving have been taken as negative. So the total would be 0. And this law obeys the law of conservation of charge. So this law obeys the law of conservation of charge. The second is the Kirchhoff's voltage law, an infinitely more important law, but very easy nonetheless. Second law, we can call it Kirchhoff's voltage law, I call it KVL, or you can also call it loop law. Now, in Kirchhoff's voltage law, what is done is that we go across a loop and we take into account all the potential differences across the resistors and the EMFs of the batteries. So in Kirchhoff's voltage law, he says that the total sum of potential differences across the resistors IR is equal to the total sum of EMFs due to the batteries. So the total, this is according to this obeys the law of conservation of energy. because I'm sure you know EMF is work done. So this obeys the law of conservation of energy. And in order to take the polarities plus or minus of IR and epsilon, we have got a couple of rules. The first rule about resistance is that if we are going in the direction of current and we are going through a resistor, and if we are going in the direction of current, then IR is taken negative. So in the direction of current, IR is taken negative. And opposite to the direction of current, IR is taken positive. You know, I tend to remember it in this way. Oppositive. Opposite, positive. So oppositive. So if you are going opposite to the direction of current, then IR will be taken positive. Secondly, if you are going through a battery, what type of convention do you have to use? Let's find out. If you are going through a battery, through a cell or battery, if we go from the positive, here the direction of current does not make any difference. It's only how you are going, whether you are looking at the positive terminal first and then the negative terminal or what. If we go from the positive terminal of the battery to the negative terminal, then EMF is taken negative. So I tend to take it like this, like positive to negative, then it will be negative. So the last thing makes the difference. From positive you go to negative, whatever is the last terminal, that sign you're going to take. Or, you know, in my language I use it that अच्छे से बुरा, you know, positive terminal I consider अच्छा, negative terminal I consider बुरा. So if you go from अच्छे से बुरा, अगर कोई इंसान अच्छे से बुरा बनता है तो बुरी बात होती है, तो we take it as negative. Whereas if we go from the negative terminal, if we see the negative terminal first, to the positive terminal, then EMF is taken positive. The rule stays the same. अगर कोई बुरे आदमी से अच्छा आदमी बनता है तो वो अच्छी बात है. So बुरे से अच्छा is अच्छा, जबकि अच्छे से बुरा is बुरा. So this is the entire idea behind taking the convention for this. And let me tell you one very important thing that we never talked about. This is that a capacitor tends to block DC. Now what does this mean? A capacitor tends to block DC. Actually it blocks DC. Here 10 to is just, overriding factor. So a capacitor tends to block DC. What does it mean? It means that from a DC battery, current cannot pass through the capacitor. So in steady state, means after some time you've switched on the circuit, in steady state, the current passing through any capacitor will be zero. So if any of your branch has a capacitor, then current will not pass through that branch. So in steady state, no current, no DC current passes through a capacitor. We might take one of the numericals to illustrate this fact, but this is a very important fact, something that you had not known, and we will look at it in this idea. Let's use all these ideas to do a numerical from the Arihant Master Resource Book. I am in Physics by D.B. Singh. I am going to do sample problem number 30. So if you have that book, you might as well open it. And if not, you might look at the data and the figure that I'm giving here. And let's move this. So we are looking at SP 13, I guess. Is it 13 or 15? Yes, 13. It says two cells of EMFs 2 volt and 1 volt and of internal resistances 1 ohm and 2 ohm. So 2 volt ka EMF has 1 ohm and 1 volt ka EMF wala has 2 ohm, have their positive terminals connected. Let me write this much down. epsilon 1 is 2 volt, internal resistance R1 is 1 ohm, epsilon 2 is 1 volt and internal resistance is 2 ohm. And their parallel terminals are covered with a wire of resistance 10 ohm it seems, and parallel terminals, positive terminals connected by wire of 10 ohm, negative terminals by wire of 4 ohm. So R2, I'm going to draw the circuit now, 4 ohm, another coil of 10 ohm, so let me call it R as 10 ohm, is connected between the midpoints, across the midpoints, and we have to find the potential difference across the 10 ohm coil. So V is how much? Across R is equal to 10 ohm. And now we shall draw a circuit. So this is my epsilon 1 along with its R1 values I'm going to put later, and the positive terminals are connected, epsilon 1 or epsilon 2 के positive terminals connect किए. So this is epsilon 2 bad resistor, R2. Positive terminals have been connected by a wire having 10 ohm resistance. This is 10 ohm and this has 4 ohm. And now the midpoints of these two wires are connected by 10 ohm. Oh, so this 10 ohm resistor is actually dividing this 10 ohm into two parts. So this much is half, this much is half. So this will be 5. Let me draw the resistors so that we don't forget to take them. This is 5 ohm and this is also 5 ohm. And this too will be divided into two halves. 2 ohm and 2 ohm. So this goes away. This also goes away. Alright. And now this is 2 volt. This is 1 ohm. I'm writing the values now. 1 volt. This is 2 ohm. You're supposed to find out the potential difference across this 10 ohm resistor. And in order to do that, you need to find out the current across 10 ohm. So first of all, let me name the entire circuit. I call it A, B. We'll do it in blue so that it retains the flavor. This is A, B, C, D, E and F. So your agenda is to find the current flowing through this branch DC or CD. Now current tracing, the first step we do is finding out, naming the various currents in the entire circuit. So how do we do that? We choose the biggest battery. So here you can see this is 2 volt, this is 1 volt, this is obviously bigger. And from this we start our current, we'll call it I. And we go on and on passing the current through various resistors and stuff like that until we come across a junction where we shall divide it. So I is starting from the positive terminal of this current, this battery. It's coming to D. Now D, as you can see, is a junction. So current will divide into two parts. This one. We'll call this current as I1 and this current, you can call it as I2. But for sake of simplicity and to lower our calculations, I tend to call it I minus I1. So this is I1, this is I minus I1. I minus I1 goes straight from here to here and it merges here at C. So I1 comes here, I minus I1 comes here, and finally they both add. So I1 minus I1 goes away, this will be I, and this current I enters the negative terminal. You can see my current tracing is complete. There are currents now in every branch. And you can see I have two unknowns, I and I1. So I need two equations. So I will take two loops. So the first loop I'm going to take, we'll say apply KVL to loop. Let me say my first loop being A, B, C, D, A. I love the naming A, B, C, D, A. So I start from A, I write it as VA. You can, remove this idea as and when you want it. We go on, we see the battery. Achhe se bura is bura, so it becomes minus 2 volt. For the battery, the current direction does not make any difference. It's only the terminals that would make the difference. So from positive to negative, EMF would have been taken negative, which I have done. Now, this is current I, resistor is 1 ohm. So the potential drop will be IR, I into 1, which is I. And since current is coming like this and we are going like this, we are going opposite to the direction of current. IR will be taken positive. So 1I, again 2 ohm and I, again opposite to the direction of current, so plus 2I, and again opposite, I1 into 10, so plus 10 I1, and we are going again opposite. I have not shown the direction of current, but I might as well do it. So again opposite, so plus 5I, and we come back again to A, so this becomes VA. VA goes for a toss anytime. Minus 2 comes there, it becomes plus 2. How many I's? 1I, 2I and 5I. 5 and 2 is 7 and 1 is 8. So 8I, and this is 10I1. You want, many people tend to take 2 common and stuff like that. Okay, that can be done, but that's not more of a problem. You know, we can do that later also. Second loop, KVL to loop, which do you want? DCFED. DCFED. We'll start with VD. In the direction of current, IR is negative. So this is minus 10 I1. Opposite to the direction of current, IR is positive. So plus 2 I minus I1. Again, opposite to the direction of current. So plus 2 I minus I1. Be careful with the brackets. Bure se acha is acha. From negative we go to positive, it is plus. So plus 1. And again opposite to the direction of current. So plus 5 I minus I1. And we come at D. So is equal to VD. VD goes away. Let's open brackets in total concentration. So plus 2I minus 2I1. You could have written 5 and 4. 5 and 2 is 7. 7 and 2 is 9. So you could have straightly written 9I minus I1. So 9I minus 9I1. I hope I'm not moving too fast. And I've taken this plus 1, plucked it and taken it to the right hand side. So this is what? This is 9I minus 19I1. My God. Pretty rustled up numbers. Acha, first things first. What are we interested in finding? We are interested in finding I1. So we'll have to remove I. Now you can see this is 8I and this is 9I. So what seems to be a nice proposition to remove I from the surrounding? I think 8 and 9, the common factor is 45. 9 8 is 72. So we'll do that. We'll multiply this by 9. We'll multiply this by 8. And what do we have now? 9 8s are 72I and 9 10s are 90I1. We might not actually get a perfect answer, but we'll see what happens. And 19 8s are 72 and 9 is 72, 8 and 7 is 15. So 152, oh my God. I1 is minus 8. Okay. Now, we'll take minus sign all the way. This is gone. And 90 minus 152. That's 152 plus 90. That's 242. So 242 I1 is 18 minus 8. That's 26. So I've got I1. I might as well write it here. I have less space. I'll clear this up. So I1, I'm sure you can see here, it is 26 by 242 ampere. Okay. I can divide, I can take 2 common and stuff like that, but this is not my last step. So I'll take it in the last step. Now, finally, the PD across 10 ohm. Now PD across 10 ohm, we'll call it VDC, is I1 into R. I1 is how much? 26 by 242 and R is how much? 10. So this becomes 260 by 242. So this 260, this 242, nearly 1.1. Nearly 1.1 volt. Or a little lesser than 1.1 volt. You can see we have 1.07 as an option and we think we are right with that. So this was the application of Kirchhoff's law. Have a look. We now go on to the second topic that we have to do, which is called Joule effect. Now what did Joule say? He said that whenever current flows through a conductor, heat energy is released. Something happens inside the conductor when current is passing through it and heat energy is released. Well, this was his observation. He called this heat as Joule heat and the effect was called Joule effect. Now in order to understand that, we have dealt with theory. We know that inside a conductor there are positive ions which are fixed at the lattice points. When an electron under the influence of the electric field moves across the conductor, the electron suffers multiple collisions with the positive ions and transfers all its kinetic energy to those positive ions. Now the positive ions are only capable of vibrational motion. So when an electron comes and gives it the kinetic energy, the amplitude of vibrational motion increases and all this vibrational energy is liberated, is given out in the form of heat energy. So all the heat energy that you see is actually the vibrational kinetic energy of the positive ions. So this was the idea. Now we have three main equations for this Joule heat or power, you can say. Simple as that. The heat energy is given as, you can call it H. It is equal to I square RT. And the heat energy per unit time. Now energy per unit time, that is power, is P is H over T, which is I square RT over T. Tuck tuck, it goes away. So P is I square R. But ladies and gentlemen, let me remind this thing. This is actually the heat energy lost per unit time or power lost as heat. So this is going to be power lost as heat. If I put I as V by R, then I'm going to get another equation which is V square by R. And if I'm going to write R as V by I, I'm going to get P is equal to VI. So I am having three equations and I'll systematically put them. First, the power due to a cell or a battery, which is the power given by a cell or a battery. It can be written as P is VI, or you can write it as P is equal to epsilon I. So this power delivered by a cell or a battery. Second, the power rating of a device, like say a bulb or heater, etc. That would be P is V square by R. This would be the power rating of a device. So for example, on a bulb it is written 60 watt, 220 volt. That means if you use it at 220 volt, it will give you a maximum power of 60 watt. That is what we call power rating. Here R is the resistance. And thirdly, the power lost, or you can also call it consumed as heat. Now whenever they ask you power lost as heat, the best formula would be P is I square R. So whenever you want to find out how much power is lost as heat, it will be P is equal to I square R. And you can see it happens due to resistance. And that is why it is also called ohmic loss. It is also known as ohmic loss. Alright. That is the prime reason why power companies transmit electrical power at very high voltages to reduce ohmic loss. Well, Joule heat is also used in many applications like electric iron, electric toaster, kettle, etc. Bulb has got tungsten, which has got a melting point of 3380 degrees Celsius. That is the prime reason why it's used in a bulb. And when current is switched on in a bulb, the tough filament goes from normal to red hot and from red hot to white hot, and it is that white hot stage that it emits light. But we have seen all that in theory. We are looking at these three equations primarily. And let us also go on. Let us look at, for example, if I have two devices, these are some tips that we can use. If two devices having their power ratings, wing powers P1 and P2 are connected in series, then what is the net power consumed? The net power is 1 by P is 1 by P1 plus 1 by P2. Or you can also call it as we call it PS. PS is P1 P2 over P1 plus P2. You know, this formula is mainly intended that if you have more than 2, then you might as well 1 by P1 plus 1 by P2 plus 1 by P3 and you can go on. This is only for two powers. Secondly, if they are connected in parallel, the same two devices which have powers P1 and P2, if they are connected in parallel, the net power would be PP, we'll call it PP, power in parallel, simply P1 plus P2. Now if you were to ask me, sir, how did you obtain these equations? It is quite easy. You know, in series, if they are connected in series, you know, do anything, the power, the resistance will not change. So resistance, this is the idea, R is V square by P. So in series, resistance Rs is R1 plus R2. In case of Rs, I'll put V square by Ps. In case of R1, I'll put V square by P1. In case of R2, I'll put V square by P2. V square all get cut. So 1 by Ps is 1 by P1 plus 1 by P2. Same thing I will use in parallel, and this is how I will obtain my equations. Also, remember that, you know, many a times they have a question that suppose I have a device having power rating PV. Now, if I use at a different voltage V dash, how much power would I consume? Alright. So, supposing we have a device of power rating PV. I'm sure you know this is how a power rating is, put. So, we know P is V square by R. Do anything, R will not change. So, R becomes the main subject here. So, R is V square by P. Now, if device is used at voltage V dash, then power P dash is, you have to remember, you use it at whatever voltage, the resistance will not change. So, R will be V square by P, which is V square by P, will also be V dash square by P dash. So, R will remain same. If you use it at voltage V dash, it will give you power P dash. I am going to utilize these two and I am going to find out a lovely equation. I'll take P dash here, P here. So, P dash is P in bracket V dash by V the whole square. Supposing I have a bulb, you know, power rating, let us say 60 watt, 220 volt. And they've asked me, I am utilizing this bulb, I am using it at 110 volt. So what would be the new power now? So in place of V dash, you'll put 110, the new voltage. In place of V, you'll put 220. In place of P, you'll put 60. And this is how the entire thing will crumble. So this is just a tip. Fourth, now this is called, now I will utilize, let me do SP15 out here. I think we have SP15 on the rules, yes. And SP15 pertains to this idea if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, an electric bulb is marked as 100 watt 230 volt. So its power rating is 100 watt at voltage 230 volt. And if the supply voltage drops to 115 volt, so V dash is 115 volt. What is the heat and light energy produced by the bulb? H is how much? In T is equal to 20 minutes. Well, I might as well have converted this into second because the answer they have required is in joule. So 20 into 60 second. We can do the calculations later. Sir, heat manga hai. By isn't power heat upon time? So heat is power into time. That is why they have given us power. But अपने को नया power ढूंढना है. So the first question is P dash. Now P dash new power is P into V dash square by V the whole square. So this is P. P is how much? 100. And V dash is how much? 115 by 230 the whole square. 115 by 230, this is 1 by 2. 1 by 2, the whole square is 1 by 4. 100 by 4 is 25 watt. And to cut a long story short, H is P dash into T, which would be 25 into 20 into 60. Now 25 2s are is 50. So this would be 500. 500 into 60. Let me take the 3 zeros out of the question. So 0, 0, 0. So this will give me 500 into 60. That's 5 into 6. That's 30. 30,000 joule. And as my answer looks good, this is 30,000 joule. Alright. So this was SP15. Let's move on. I am talking about a new thing which is called maximum power transfer theorem. Look at this carefully. A lovely thing, no problems at all. Then we'll gradually move on to, Wheatstone bridge and potentiometer. So what is this called? Maximum power transfer theorem. Okay. What does it entail? क्या कहता है? That is the idea. Suppose I have a battery. EMF is epsilon. Internal resistance is R. And I have connected it across an external resistor R. First things first. What is the current through the circuit? This is a simple closed circuit. Let us say current is I. And everybody knows current is net EMF over total resistance. So by a simple equation, I have I is epsilon over big R plus small r. Second, the question, what is the power developed in the external resistor? So the power in the external resistor, you can say P is I square R. In place of I am going to put this equation. So this becomes epsilon square R over R plus R the whole square. Pretty normal stuff. Now comes the important stuff. What is the important stuff? They have asked us what would be the condition for the power in the external resistor to be maximum. So how do you dissipate maximum power? So for max power, do you agree max means uske upar nahi ho sakta? So in short, it has to be constant. Then dP by dr would have to be equated to 0. So differentiate power with respect to bada R and equate it to 0, because d by dr of constant would be 0. I will put this here, and if you want I can differentiate it. So epsilon square comes out of bada R over bada R plus chota r the whole square. Now epsilon square goes down here, and I'm going to use d by dx of a by b. I'm sure you know it's b dA by dx minus a dB by dx the whole over b square. And utilizing that, you want me to do that? I'll do that. So r plus r the whole square into d bada r by d bada r minus r into d by dr of r plus r the whole square the whole over. Remember epsilon square नीचे आके मर चुका है. R plus r the whole square का square, which is 4, is 0. This thing goes here, boom, aujo. What are you left with? D by dr of r is 1 minus r. Now d by dr of something raised to 2. So this is 2 into something raised to 2 minus 1, which is 1, into d by dr of r plus r. Now look at this. D by dr of bada r 1 plus d by dr of constant 0. 1 plus 0 is 1. So finally, after a full round of negotiating, what are we left with? We are left with this equation. You can, take r plus r common, or you can cut out r plus r. Finally, you are left with only one equation. Bada R is equal to chota r. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the condition for max power. So, let me write, for max power, the external resistance has to be equal to the net internal resistance. Sir, ये तो एक ही R. But you might have a number of other batteries जिनके छोटे छोटे R हो सकते हैं. So the external resistance has to be equal to internal resistance. So for max power, total external resistance has to be equal to net internal resistance. We are going to take it as our working hypothesis, and not working hypothesis, already proved it. And supposing somebody asks you, find me max power, we'll say no problem, sir. So max power, first things first. First will be current. How much is the current, buddy? I is epsilon over bada R plus chota. Now you already know chota R is bada R. So R plus R, which is epsilon over 2R. And power, max power, will write in blue. P max is I square into R. What is I? Epsilon over 2R the whole square into R. This is epsilon square by 4R square into R. I'll cut 1R. So P max, max power, is epsilon square over 4R. And if you want to substitute bada R by chota r, you can be my guest. This is max power. Alright, so this was maximum power transfer theorem, where power transferred would be max. So whenever you see the word maximum power or maximum current, always remember this is what they want you to use. So the total external resistance has to be equal to the net internal resistance for max power to be generated, for max power to be transferred. And this is the equation for max power. Let us move on. We go on to Wheatstone bridge, and very beautiful ideas of a Wheatstone bridge there. It's a device that is used to find the value of an unknown resistor using 3 known resistances and also using a galvanometer. So Wheatstone bridge. We have got, you've seen this already. Let us say this is R1, this is R1, this is R2, this is R3, this is R4, and across this point a battery is connected. Without the battery you cannot have any current. So this is epsilon, this is A, this is B, this is C, this is D. Okay, and here a galvanometer is connected. The basic system idea was that we already know R1, R2 and R3. We need to find the value of R4, and also R3 is adjustable, so we can change this value, and currents will pass, and we go on adjusting this till the current in the galvanometer becomes 0. When the current in the galvanometer becomes 0, we say the Wheatstone bridge is balanced. When current in galvanometer becomes 0, that is, the galvanometer shows 0 deflection, the bridge, the Wheatstone bridge, is balanced. And then we apply Kirchhoff voltage law, and finally we get, in the balanced condition, R1 by R2 is equal to R3 by R4. So now the converse is also true. So R1 by R2 is equal to R3 by R4. This by this is this by this. The converse is also true. If you see a circuit which has R1 by R2, this by this is equal to this by this, and it has some resistor in the middle, then the bridge is balanced. As a result, this Beachwala branch, the BD branch, will simply cease to exist, and these two will be in series, these two will be in series, and these two will be in parallel. You can work it out that way. So the converse is also true. So R1 by R2 is R3 by R4. The practical application is called a meter bridge. A meter long wire. Now in meter bridge we have only 2 resistors, R and S. So this is R and this is S. You have seen the diagram in the, I am not drawing the actual diagram, I am just putting a faint touch to this, and this is the galvanometer. Obviously there is a battery down below, uske bagair to kaise kaam chalega. Okay, but I'm not drawing it to perfection. Now ये R known है, S unknown है, और S known है, R unknown है, whatever you say. And galvanometer को use करके हम tap करते जाते हैं. And let us say this is point C. This much is L1. If this is a 100 centimeter wire, and this is 100 minus L1. So if at C galvanometer shows zero deflection, it means the bridge is balanced. R is being balanced by the resistance AC. S is being balanced by the resistance of wire CB, and we put RCM and cancel all that. Then we get finally at null point. That is what is called null point. When the galvanometer shows zero deflection, it is called null point. So at null point, R by S, in short, this by this, will be equal to L1 over 100 minus L1. No complicated equations, all putting in perfect form. So R by S is this resistance by this resistance. This much is L1, this is 100 minus L1. So this is Wheatstone bridge or meter bridge for you. We go on to potentiometer. We'll explore some idea of a potentiometer, and then we'll see what it is used for. We'll do it in a different manner, vis-a-vis the NCERT textbook. Let's look at it in totality. Potentiometer is actually a very long wire, maybe 3-4 meter long. So, and it's used to, compare EMF of two cells, to find potential differences, or to find out the internal resistance of a cell, and so on. Now, let me show you a potentiometer. This is a wire, this is a battery actually. EMF is epsilon, and let us say its internal resistance is R. Now, it is not necessary that the internal resistance will be there in every point. No, it's not necessary. They might say it's a negligible internal resistance. And this is an external resistance, meant to control the current. And यहाँ से मेरा wire शुरू होता है. Let me draw the wire in blue. We'll call the wire AB. And too much of it. I could have drawn a smaller wire. It's always good to draw these wires first. Okay. So AB is my long potentiometer wire, and as you can see, I have a key here. Okay. Now, first things first, what is the current flowing through the circuit? In order to find current, okay, current, I love to write this formula. It is net EMF over total resistance. Now net EMF is only 1 epsilon. Total resistance would be the internal resistance plus the external resistance plus the resistance of wire AB. Remember that. Now here AB is the pot wire, potentiometer wire, and RCM is the resistance per unit length of the potentiometer wire. And let the length be bada L. Let length be bada L. So what would be the resistance of wire AB? Pot wire AB, we'll call it RAB, is RCM, resistance per unit length, multiplied by the length of the wire, which is L. So this is RAB for you. And let me now put it in equation 1. So equation 1 becomes I is epsilon over R plus RAB, and RAB is RCM into L. So let me write that in blue. So current I, this is a tad different from what we saw in the NCERT textbook, but basically the idea is same. R plus RCM into L. Now, let us say somebody picks a point, let us call it C. Pick a point C, and let distance AC be chota length L. So what are we supposed to find? Supposed to find the potential difference between A and C. The potential difference between any 2 points, between points A and C is, we'll call it VL. You can call it epsilon L as they have called it in the textbook. You know, potential difference is IR. So this is I into resistance of the part AC. First things first. For the entire wire, we have said the resistance for unit length is RCM. So if the resistance of the whole wire of length L is RCM into L, what would be the resistance for length L of the wire? It will be RCM into chota L. So this is I into RCM into chota L. I'm going to put this I here, and what am I going to get? This is epsilon over R plus RCM into L into RCM into chota L. If you RCM would be cut, don't forget it. So if you look at the entire equation, one is constant, epsilon is constant, RCM constant, bada R, chota R, L, all constant. So this entire thing, this is constant, and it will go inside bracket and we'll constitute what is called sigma. So let me rub this off. So here epsilon, RCM, chota r, bada R, L are all constant. So VL by L is all constant, which we denote as sigma. And sigma, you can see where sigma, somebody supposing asks you what is sigma. So it's epsilon into RCM over bada R plus chota r plus RCM into L. All this is constant. And VL by L has a special name, VL by L. That is the potential difference per unit length. Now all this can go. And here VL by L, which is the potential difference per unit length of the potentiometer wire, is called potential gradient. So somebody, sometimes they might ask you, what is the potential gradient? So you are at a loss to know ये potential gradient होता क्या है. But potential gradient is VL by L, which is actually sigma, which is epsilon into RCM over bada R plus chota r plus RCM into L. And the SI unit of VL by L is volt per meter. Alright, so this is potential gradient. Now, the use of a potentiometer wire, use 1 to compare EMFs of 2 cells. So how do you do that? First thing, we put a cell, let us say epsilon 1, and we take a galvanometer. Let's take this off, and we keep topping the jockey at various points. And suppose at point N1 I find a null point. When I find a null point, it means that the potential difference epsilon 1 is same as the potential difference between length A and N1. That is, if we connect for cell epsilon 1, null point is at N1. So what happens now is VL1 is same as epsilon 1, and VL1 is what? Sigma into L. So epsilon 1 is sigma into L1. Similarly for cell 2, we disconnect cell 1, put cell 2. So for cell 2, null point is at N2. So VL2 is same as epsilon 2, which gives me epsilon 2 is sigma into L2. And I divide 1 and 2, I get epsilon 1 by epsilon 2 is L1 by L2. So if you have a scale and you can measure L1 and L2 on it, then you can find out the value of this ratio, epsilon 1 by epsilon 2. And not only that, suppose you've got epsilon 2 also, then put it here, put L1 and L2 here, you can find out the value of epsilon 1 also. So this is a way to compare EMFs of 2 cells. The second way, the second use is to find out the internal resistance of a cell of a battery. So same old idea, but only difference is that, here I will also connect a resistance box. Galvanometer comes here. You've seen this in the textbook. So used to find the internal resistance of a cell. I forgot to put the key here. This is the key. And first thing, when the key is open, the resistance box is not in the picture. And as a result, the EMF, we'll call it epsilon, and is an internal resistance Rf. So this epsilon is equal to N1, and so VL1 is equal to epsilon. So epsilon is equal to sigma L1. Now, when key K is closed, do you agree the resistance box is now into the picture, and as a result current starts flowing into this circuit also, and thus the potential difference between the two terminals is not EMF, it is terminal voltage. So VL2 is equal to V, therefore V is sigma L2. This is equation 1, this is equation 2, and as a result, when I divide 1 and 2, this is 1, this is 2, dividing 1 and 2, I get epsilon by V is L1 by L2. Epsilon is I into bada R plus chota r. We have done this entire derivation in ancient ages, and V is IR. I put this here, and what do I get? Lo and behold, I get chota r is bada R L1 by L2 minus 1, where chota r is the internal resistance of this battery. Bada R is the external resistance here. L1 is the null point length when external resistance is not in the circuit, and L2 is the null point length when external resistance is in the circuit. So in this particular way, we tend to complete all we had to complete. And now let us go on and do some numericals, and let us find out where we stand. How exactly do we apply what we have learned? So let's now go to certain numericals. I am going number 16. Let's take a small break. Welcome back. We are on to SP16 now. They say there is a heater, 500 watt, 220 volt. This is the rating. Bulb, 100 watt, 220 volt. And they are both connected in series with a supply of 220 volt. They wish to find out what is the power consumed by the heater and what is the power consumed by the bulb. In order to do that, you will have to first find out the resistances of both the heater and the bulb. So let's find out. For the heater, now everybody knows P is V square by R, which would give me R is V square by P. So for the heater, RH is VH square by PH. VH is how much? 220 volt. We are good that everything is 220 volt. Upon PH is how much? 500. Now 22 ka square, 484 and 00 over 500, and we cancel the two zeros out here. If you want, you can multiply it by 2, divide it by 2, and this would how the entire thing works. So niche it becomes 10, 8 4 2s are 8, and 8 2s are 16, 4 2s are 8 and 1 9. So resistance of the heater is 96.8 ohm. Okay. Now for the bulb, let's find out for the bulb. For the bulb, same theory. RB is VB square by PB. So VB square is 220 ka square, and PB is how much? That's 100. Oh, so that would be 48400 over 100. We cancel the double zeros, so it is 484 ohm. Wow, we have got both RH as well as RB. So now they are in series. So in series, the total resistance, isn't it RH plus RB? that is 96.8 plus 484. So 484 plus 100, that would be 584, and 584 minus 3 is 581. 581.2 ohm. And so the current I is V by R, that's 220 divided by 581.2. Now if I consider 581.2 and this is 220, I will have to multiply it by, suppose I have the 600 and 22 by 6, 6 fours are 24, around 0.4, करीबन 0.4. I can just take an approximation. This would be 0.4 nearly. And now the power consumed by heater, PH, is I square R. So I square into RH. That's 0.4 ka square into how much is RH? 96.8. Now 0.4 ka square is 0.16. And 0.16 into lagbhag 100, 96.8, around 16 something. So 16 watt is the power consumed by heater, and that by the bulb, R square into RB, that's 0.4 ka square. How much is RB? 484. So that's 0.16 again into 484. Now 0.16 into 484, 16% of 484, that's 48 plus another 24, that's 72, around 70 के आसपास, करीबन 70 के आसपास. Fair enough. So you can check up both the options, and that is how SP16 is working. We go on another SP. Let's find out the number. The next SP is number 21. That's number 21. Let's move on and see what it has to say. SP21. And then in line we have SP24, so don't forget, lest I forget. Okay, 4 resistances of 15 ohm, 12 ohm, let me write it. 15 ohm, 12 ohm, 4 ohm and 10 ohm are connected in cyclic order. Okay, this is the first time you're looking at a term called cyclic order. Is the bridge balanced? If not, calculate resistance to be connected in parallel with the resistance of 10 ohm. इसके साथ parallel में connect करना to balance the network. Okay, इसके बाद का number 24 उसको पकड़ के रखते हैं. Okay. Now, first things first. What is cyclic order? Cycle. Tuck, 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 tuck. It's like this. We start from point A, let us say. So ये पहला resistor which is 15 ohm. ये दूसरा resistor which is 12 ohm. ये तीसरा resistor which is 4 ohm. And ये चौथा resistor which is 10 ohm. This is cyclic order. Tuck, 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 tuck. यह घूम गया. Now they've asked you whether the bridge is balanced. Let's call this P. Let's call this Q. Let's call this R. Let's call this S. Now, bridge will be balanced if P by Q is R by S. देखते हैं क्या होता है? P by Q. P by Q is how much? 10 by 15. That's 2 by 3. And R by S. That's 4 by 12. That's 1 by 3. Oh, so P by Q is not equal to R by S. So P by Q not equal to R by S. So bridge is not balanced. That's the first question. Is the bridge balanced? No, the bridge is not balanced. It is not rot, it is not. Now they've asked us to connect something in parallel with 10 ohm. Let resistor X be in parallel with 10 ohm. So what would be the combination like? So 1 by R dash would be 1 by 10 plus 1 by X, which would give me R dash is 10X over 10 plus X. Now I have to again, now for bridge to be balanced, P by Q would have to be equal to R dash by S. Isn't, hey, what was, this was 10, 10 was P. So this P dash, my mistake, not R dash, P dash. Alright. I forgot where 10 was. So P dash by Q is R by S. So let me put it now. P dash is how much? 10x over 10 plus x. And how much was Q? It was 15 is equal to R by S. How much is R? 4 by 12. Now 4 by 12 everybody knows is 1 by 3. And 15 goes up. 15 by 3 is 5. Let us cross multiply and get it. So 50 plus 5x. Now 10x minus 5x is 5x. 5x is 50, which gives me x is equal to 10 ohm. So a 10 ohm resistor would have to be connected in parallel with this 10 ohm. Only then the bridge would be balanced. This would be SP21. And now I remember the number. It is 24. I have a little good memory, you see. So number 24, what is it? Well, I don't remember that far. So what is 24? 24 says a potentiometer wire of length 100 centi has a resistance, we'll call it RAB, which is 10 ohm. It is connected in series with a resistance, let's call it R, and source of EMF 2 volt. Okay, and of negligible internal resistance. Now, another battery which is 10 millivolt is balanced against a length of 40 centi. So what is the value of the external resistor? They want us to find the value of R. Okay. Well, let's do this. Now, first things first. For potentiometer wire, RAB is RCM into length L. So let's first find RCM. RCM is RAB 10. Let's keep it in centimeter. 10 by 100 is 0.1 ohm per centimeter. Now, when they say this 10 millivolt is balanced by this 40 centimeter length, that means for balance condition, this V would have to be equal to I into RAC, yeah, RL, whatever you call it. You want to call it RL for this length? I don't know. Now, I is what? Epsilon over कितने रेजिस्टर है? पहला तो AB का है, इसका इंटरनल रेजिस्टेंस नेग्लिजिबल है, एंड फिर ये R है, एंड द होल इनटू RCM into length L. Oh, I think I have all the factors. I have V, I have V here, I have epsilon here, I have RAB here, R find करना, RCM है, length L भी है. I think it should be a cakewalk. So 10 millivolt, so that's 10 into 10 raised to minus 3, and that is equal to epsilon 2 over RAB कितना है 10 plus R, the whole into how much is RCM? 0.1 into 40 centimeter. Wow. 0.1 into 40, that's 4. 4 2s are is 8. And this is 10 raised to minus 2. So 10 plus R goes up, is 8 over 10 raised to minus 2. That's 800. And R is 800 minus 10. I think it should be, unless we have mistaken in the data something, 790 ohm it is. And that is how the cookie is crumbling. After SP24, we are looking at example number 1. Example number 1 is also a circuit, a good circuit at that. Let us just move it there. Example 1, use of Kirchhoff's law, I'm sure. Looks like it. So example 1, there is a 12 volt battery and a small internal resistance R, and this is another small battery, they call it epsilon, and with 1 ohm, and this is a 3 ohm resistor, and they have given some currents also. This is 2 amp, this is 1 amp, alright, and this they have called it as I. Okay, and they want us to find the internal resistance R and the EMF epsilon. Let me name the circuit A, B, C, D, E, F. Now, first thing, by Kirchhoff's law, can you see ये current I यहाँ पे आ रहा है, and it is being divided into two parts, 1 amp and 2 amp. So by Kirchhoff's current law, it is evident कि ये I में से ये 1 और 2 एम्पियर अलग हुए हैं. तो what would be the total of 1 and 2 ampere? Wouldn't it be I? So I is 1 plus 2. So that would be 3 amp. So my first shot was I is equal to 3 amp. Now, if you want to put this, KVL, you can put KVL. So by KVL to loop ADCBA. So from D to C, अच्छे से बुरा is बुरा and opposite to the direction of current plus 1 into 1 in the direction of current minus 3 into 2 and that is equal to 0. I think we are having answers right now. So minus epsilon plus 1 minus 6 is equal to 0. Oh, so epsilon goes there. We got epsilon is minus 5 volt. Alright, we got epsilon is minus 5 volt. Now you want to do the same thing for this circuit. So KVL to loop EFBAE. EFBAE. So from E to F, बुरे से अच्छा is अच्छा plus 12. In the direction of current minus IR negative. In the direction of current minus 2 into 3 and that is equal to 0. Might as well put the value of I. I is how much? 3. This is 6. Now 12 minus 6 is 6. So 3R is 6, which gets me R is equal to 6 by 3. That is 2 ohm. So utilizing Kirchhoff's voltage law and current law also, we have got the values of R and epsilon. When I say this is minus, that means ये जो polarity है ये उल्टी होनी चाहिए. तो उन्होंने वो आंसर में भी माइनस ही लिखा हुआ है. So that's not big problem. Now we go to round 1. राउंड 1 का कौन सा नंबर करेंगे? मास्टर रिसोर्स बुक में से राउंड 1 का है 62. सो राउंड 1 का 62 हमारे लिए रहा देख रहा है. एंड राउंड 1 का 62 इज ऑन पेज नंबर, ढूंढने दे मुझे, 62 ये रहा. ओहो काफी नेटवर्क वाला है. इंटरनल रेजिस्टेंस इज 4 ओम एंड कनेक्टेड टू नेटवर्क. मैक्सिमम पावर वाला सीन है सर. ओके, लेट्स सी हाउ इट वर्क्स आउट. ये एक आर, ये दूसरा आर, ये इधर भी एक आर है. ओह काफी आर है. एंड इसका है छोटा इंटरनल रेजिस्टेंस आर. सो दिस इज आर 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 6R, R, R, 4R. Now, पहले काम करते हैं, जो एक्सटर्नल रजिस्टर है ना उसको कंप्रेस करके निकाल लेते हैं. क्या निकाल सकते हैं? इक्विवेलेंट रेजिस्टेंस. कैन यू सी, ये आर आर जो है ये सीरीज में है और ये आर आर भी सीरीज में है. सो आर आर बिकम्स 2R, आर आर बिकम्स 2R. सर्किट बिकम्स समथिंग लाइक दिस. 2R, ये R, ये 6R, 2R, 4R. अब कैसे करें सर? किसके साथ कौन है? भाई किसी के साथ कुछ नहीं है, पर मेरे को इसको ये 5 रजिस्टर को देख के व्हीटस्टोन ब्रिज की खुशबू आ रही है. लेट्स फाइंड आउट. इज ब्ला बाय ब्ला इक्वल टू ब्ला बाय ब्ला? सो एज R by 2R is technically equal to 2R by 4R. So do you agree? The bridge is balanced and bridge is balanced. तो ये जो 6R है, this 6R will not exist. So 6R will not exist. And as a result, what does my new diagram become? This is R, this is 2R, ये बीच का निकल गया. This is 2R, this is 4R. Wow, R और 2R सीरीज में 3R, 2R और 4R सीरीज में 6R. So this is like ये 3R और ये 6R. Do you believe they are in parallel? So 3R and 6R are in parallel. So what is the net external resistance? R external is 3R into 6R over 3R plus 6R. That was 2R. Okay, that was easy. But what is more important? Now for maximum power, for max power, I think I gave you a relation. For max power, R external has to be equal to the net internal resistance. Well, there is only one R, so 2R has to be equal to छोटा r. छोटा r कितना है 4 ohm, and as a result R is 4 by 2, which is 2 ohm. So you can check the answer and you can move this. This was lovely. इसके बाद आता है नंबर 70. So 70 को देखेंगे और कुछ करेंगे धमाधमी. Let's see what 70 is. Number 70. 70 नंबर क्या कहता है? 70 नंबर जहां भी है वो ये कहता है, अरे बाप रे, कि an electric kettle boils water in 16 minutes. Okay, so T is 16 minutes, and due to some defect it becomes necessary to remove 10% of the turns. So 10% of the turns are removed. क्या नया टाइम पूछा है ना? हाउ मच टाइम विल इट टेक फॉर द सेम वाटर टू बॉइल? ओह शिट, मैंने बुक बंद कर दिया, कमाल है. नाउ याद रखें, you know, when you want to boil water, you have to take it from temperature 1 to 100 degrees Celsius. Alright, and the energy required to heat up something, I hope you remember, it's ms delta theta. So heat required to boil water is ms delta theta, where m is the mass, s is the specific heat capacity, and delta theta is the change in temperature. ये इसलिए लिख रहा हूं क्योंकि ये चीज की जरूरत पड़ेगी हमको, याद रखिएगा. Now m is the mass of water to be boiled. m नहीं तो लोग किसी और का मास ले लेते हैं. Mass of water to be boiled. अब ये सारा कौन सप्लाई करेगा? जो हमारा हीटर है वो. सो हीट गिवन बाय हीटर. एक बात याद रहे, दिस इज एनर्जी, सो यू हैव टू टेक, दिस इज पावर इनटू टाइम, एंड पावर इज व्हाट? v स्क्वायर बाय r इनटू t. नाउ समबडी आस्क मी, सर आप v स्क्वायर बाय r क्यों ले रहे हो पावर, i स्क्वायर r क्यों नहीं ले रहे हो? अब आप समझो, आप टर्न्स रिमूव कर रहे हो. टर्न्स रिमूव करोगे तो रेजिस्टेंस चेंज होगा, रेजिस्टेंस चेंज होगा तो करंट चेंज होगा ना. सो हियर यू विल हैव, इफ यू यूज i स्क्वायर r, यू विल हैव टू अननोन्स. ऑन द अदर हैंड, भले आपने टर्न्स चेंज किया तो रेजिस्टेंस चेंज हुई, बट सप्लाई वोल्टेज तो सेम है. सो दैट इज द प्राइम रीजन व्हाई आई हैव यूज्ड v स्क्वायर बाय r, बिकॉज सप्लाई वोल्टेज इज रिमेनिंग कांस्टेंट. ओके, सो दैट वाज द प्राइम रीजन. नाउ सो v स्क्वायर बाय r into t is ms delta theta. But this is not going to be my main equation because मुझे resistance देखना है. Now resistance R, everybody knows, is rho L by A. Suppose ये ऐसा है, हीटर ऐसा होता है. Let us say ये एक टर्न है, ये एक टर्न का रेडियस let us say R है, तो ये एक टर्न का लेंथ कितना हुआ 2 pi R, और ऐसे n टर्न्स हो तो टोटल लेंथ कितना हुआ 2 pi R times n. So length of each turn, I am spelling it out, is 2 pi r, and number of turns is n. So total length L is 2 pi r the whole into n, and as a result your resistance R becomes rho into 2 pi r into n the whole over A. And इसको 3 को 2 में पुट किया जाए, put 3 into what do we have? So v square t by r की जगह रो 2 पाई आर इंटू एन, और ये तो गया ऊपर, is equal to ms delta theta. Now if you check carefully, v constant है, area constant है, rho r constant है, ms और delta theta constant है. So do you agree t by n is constant? This is our chief equation. So t by n is t dash by n dash. अब 10% टर्न्स रिमूव कर दिए, मतलब कितना परसेंट टर्न्स बचे 90%. So t by n is t dash by 0.9 n. आओ जो, so t dash is 0.9 times t. t कितना है 16, भाई 16 9 जा 144, तो 14.4 मिनट में ये तुम्हारा वाटर बॉयल होने वाला है. बरोबर है. दिस वाज द आइडिया. ये ms डेल्टा थीटा का फंडा एक और न्यूमेरिकल में लेना चाहता हूं. आई थिंक राउंड 2 का 68 है वो. लेट मी फाइंड इट आउट. राउंड 2 का 68 है कि क्या है? नहीं, राउंड 2 का नंबर, रुको मुझे पता था, 27. राउंड 2 का नंबर 27 सेम आइडियाज पे बेस्ड है, ms डेल्टा थीटा वाला. इसमें मुझे याद आया तो मैंने अचानक से लिया उसको. सो राउंड 2 का 27, व्हाट डज इट से? राउंड 2 का 27, what must be the efficiency of the circuit of a kettle? mark kettle का 500 watt 230 watt, kettle 500 watt 230 volt, and it was found to bring 1 kg of water at 15 degrees Celsius. Mass is 1 kg. Initial temperature 15 degrees Celsius to boil. तो बॉयल कब होता है? 100 डिग्री सेल्सियस पे in 15 minute. तो t is 15 minute. That's 15 into 60 second. And specific heat capacity 4200 as it is. S is 4200 joule per kg डिग्री सेल्सियस. नाउ ये एफिशिएंसी क्या है मैं पहले आपको बाद में बताऊंगा. सबसे पहले तो कितना पावर प्रोड्यूस्ड बाय केटल है, पावर या एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस्ड बाय केटल इज इक्वल टू एनर्जी इज पावर इनटू टाइम. पावर कितना है उसका? 500 वॉट. एंड कितना टाइम लगा है? 15 मिनट. दैट्स 15 into 60. तो इफ यू वांट टू फाइंड आउट, यू कैन फाइंड इट आउट. 5 6 30, ये 3 जीरो तो बाजू में लगा देता हूँ. 6 5 30, एक और 0, 3 आ गया. 15 3 45, 45,000 जूल. नाउ एनर्जी कंज्यूम्ड बाय द वाटर. पानी को कितनी एनर्जी चाहिए गर्म होने के लिए? ms डेल्टा थीटा. मास कितना? 1 kg. s is 4200 and delta theta 100 minus 15. Oh wow. So we are in for good. कहाँ गई पेन? पेन कहाँ चली जाती है? So that's 100 minus 15, that's 85. So 4200 into 85. I'll multiply that later. This is 1, this is 2. Now efficiency, if you have known, it's called eta. It is energy used या energy consumed upon energy produced into 100. मतलब सपोज एनर्जी प्रोड्यूस हुई है 100 जूल और उसमें से यूज हुई है सिर्फ 80 जूल, तो क्या हुआ उसका एफिशिएंसी? 80/100, दैट्स 0.8. तो 4200 into 85 over 4 5 और 4 जीरो, the whole into 100 if you want it in percentage. तो ये कटा and 4500 and this is 85. करीबन 80% के आसपास होना चाहिए. 80% से थोड़ा सा कम. तो you can check the answer and if you want you can divide it also. That's not a very big issue. You can divide this by 3 also. 3 1s are 3, 3 4s are 12. This is 15. 85 into 5 से ये भी जाएगा. 5 3s are 15. 5 1s are 5. 5 7s are 35. So 14 into 17 over 3. So you can do this 17 into 14, 7 4 are 21, 4 are 4, 5, 6, 7 1 are 7, 1 are 1, 6 and 7 is 13. 231 divided by 3 into 100. So 231, 3, 3, 3, 3, 8s are 24, no, 7s are, 3 7s are 21, this is 2, 3 7s are 21. So 77 करीबन ऐसा कुछ लिख सकते हो आप 77 या 79 या ऐसा कुछ, कहीं हमसे कुछ गलती तो नहीं हो गया। 7 4 का 28 होता है कहते हैं, हाँ बराबर। So 28, 9 3s are 27, 79% ladies and gentlemen, 79%. So ये हो गया आपका इलस्ट्रेशन पार्ट 2 का 27। कुछ और करना है थोड़ा, 24 भी कर सकते हैं। 24 का मैं आपको हिंट दे देता हूं। Housewife is using a bulb for 8 hours a day and electric heater for 4 hours a day. You have to find the total cost. तो बल्ब का देखो 100 watt है, तो बल्ब में पावर into time, that would be energy. So 100 watt into 8 hours. So that is 800 watt hour. You remember one unit was kilowatt hour. So this is 0.8 किलोवाट आवर बल्ब। और दूसरा क्या है, हीटर। हीटर का कितना है, हीटर का है 300 watt for 4 hours, 300 watt and into 4 hours, that's 1200 watt hour, that's 1.2 kilowatt hour. So in one day energy use is 1.2 plus 0.8, that's 2 kilowatt hour. And for June, अब जून में कितने हैं, 30 days, so total energy is 30 into 2, that is 60 kilowatt hour और 60 units। मैं हिंट ही नहीं दिया हूं, मैं पूरा ही सॉल्व कर दिया। उन्होंने कहा है कॉस्ट इज पॉइंट, उन्होंने गलती से 0.05 लिखा है पर इट इज 0.5, तो 0.5, so cost is 0.5 per unit multiply by 60, so that is 30 rupees। 30 रुपये का बिल आता है लेडीज को, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है उसमें। अच्छा फिर क्या करना था, 2 करना था। 2 क्या कर पाते हो आप, 2 आसान है, बस थोड़ी 2 मिनट लूंगा और 2 भी खत्म कर देता हूँ, या आज का काम खत्म हो, फिर जरूरत पड़ेगी तो एक और लेक्चर लेके जो मुझे इंपॉर्टेंट लगते हैं वो न्यूमेरिकल्स में वापस आपको करा दूंगा अगर ऐसा कुछ होता है तो राउंड 2 का कौन सा 2 सर्किट है, और पहली बार कैपेसिटर आया इसलिए मैं इसको देख के एक्साइट हो गया। मैं अलाउ करते हैं यार, दिस इज 22 ohm 10 ohm एंड तुम्हारे पास ये बैटरी है, और बैटरी का इंटरनल रेजिस्टेंस भी दिया हुआ है 0.5 ohm, बताया नहीं है बस। ओके एंड यू हैव टू फाइंड द चार्ज ऑन द कैपेसिटर, क्यू फाइंड करना, और ये कैपेसिटर 2 माइक्रोफैरेड का है। ओके फर्स्ट थिंग्स फर्स्ट, अब यहां से करंट शुरू करते हैं, ये यहां जाता है, लेट्स कॉल दिस ए बी सी डी ई एफ, ये करंट यहां जाएगा, ये जंक्शन आ गया, डिवाइड होना चाहिए, बट आप देख रहे हैं यहाँ कैपेसिटर है, कैपेसिटर ब्लॉक्स डीसी, तो करंट इसमें से जाएगा नहीं, तो ये सारा का सारा ऊपर चला जाएगा और वापस इसमें आ जाएगा। सो एक सिंपल सर्किट बन जाता है। पहले करंट फाइंड करते हैं। करंट अगर सिंपल सर्किट हो तो आप कैसा कर सकते हैं, इज नेट ईएमएफ ओवर टोटल रेजिस्टेंस। ईएमएफ कितना है 2.5, और जब टोटल रेजिस्टेंस गिन रहे हो तो इसी पाथ की गिनना, ये वाले की नहीं। सो 0.5 प्लस 2 दैट्स 2.5, तो करंट इज 1 एम्प। नाउ पीडी अक्रॉस सीडी, सी एंड डी के अक्रॉस पीडी कितना है, VCD is how much, 2 into I, 2 into 1, that's 2 volt. Can you see point CD and point BE are in parallel, as pairs CD and BE are in parallel, so do you agree PD across them will be same, VBE is same as VCD which is 2 volt. और ये इससे मुझे कैपेसिटर के अक्रॉस, ये 10 ओम तो फिगर भी नहीं करता, ये BE के अक्रॉस PD मिल गया 2 वोल्ट. सो चार्ज ऑन कैपेसिटर is Q is equal to CV, everybody knows. C कितना है 2 माइक्रोफैरड एंड वोल्टेज कितना है 2 वोल्ट. तो 4 माइक्रोकूलम इज द चार्ज ऑन द कैपेसिटर. तो यहाँ पे आज का काम खत्म होता है. नेक्स्ट लेक्चर में जब मिलूंगा तो कुछ और नए नए नमकीन सम्स ले आऊंगा. आप खाइएगा और एंजॉय कीजिएगा. थैंक यू सो मच. बाय बाय.